And I was racking my brain. So now I know it's you.
We're live. Hello.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. And thank you for joining us on Friday with Fran. I am your host, Shelley Kino, and joining me is my good friend, Fran. We are going to talk today about remote learning and special education. I have had my first real experiences with remote learning this week because I am doing some virtual tutoring. So while it's not exactly what the teachers are going through, well, I mean, it's just not on the level of what the teachers are dealing with now. So I actually am going to be able to speak a little bit from the teacher side. And Fran is going to be talking about from the parent and the student side. We didn't really plan to do that ahead of time. It was just, hey, let's talk about this next week. So we will see how this all pans out. And nope. Okay. I thought I was going to have volume on my phone and it was going to pop through. But so for those of you who might be tuning in, who have either maybe you're living in a different country or somehow you have not been affected by the COVID-19 virus here in the United States, and you're not remote learning or have any experience with that, what that means is instead of learning in person in a school building, teachers and students have been working since last spring with each other through this type of format, through Zoom meetings, through Google Meets, through whatever other hosting sites that they have been using. And they are trying to, hi, Alex, they are trying to figure it all out. So last spring when it happened, the analogy that I've been using is when it happened in the spring, it was like when you get thrown into water as a kid, and maybe this doesn't happen to most of you, but I know this is my dad's experience. You get thrown into water and you're told sink or swim. And you're floundering around, trying to get back to the surface of the water, trying to get to the shore. You're, it's all confusion. It's all chaos. And then eventually you get back to the shore. And I feel that is what happened in the spring. And hello, thank you for joining us from Greece. I don't know how to say your name. I wish I did, but I do appreciate you joining us today. From here, it looks like, and now I'm not even going to try because I'll butcher it. But so I feel like that's what happened in the spring, was that everybody was just like thrown into this chaotic situation. And people were trying things, and there was all kinds of mistakes and failures and learning happening. Now, to me, it's like, okay, you got to the shore and you're like, oh, I survived that. What mistakes did I make? I'm going to try that again. But, I'm going to work on my strokes. I'm going to work on my breathing underwater. I'm going to work on all the steps that go along with learning how to swim.
Good analogy.
And so I feel like now that's where we're at. It's not that mistakes aren't going to be made. Do you need to answer? I hear a phone ringing. Is that you?
It's mine. I'm sorry. It's my home phone.
Okay. Do you need to get it?
Nope.
Okay. So it's not that you're not going to make mistakes. It's not that, you're going to be a perfect swimmer. It is still going to take practice. It is going to take attempts. And so I feel like that's where we are now, is that teachers and families and internet providers and platform providers like Zoom and Google Meets and Hangouts or whatever. Now we're all trying to, okay, I think we've got a little bit, we're above water, but we're still not doing great. So that's what's happening in, I think, about 98 to 100% of our country, is that some teachers and school districts are doing in person, but they're having to social distance. They're having to do all these sanitation things that they didn't maybe have to do in the past. I don't have mine handy, but they're having to wear masks. And then you have other school districts that have said, we're going to completely go remote. Nobody is in the school district or school buildings. And so everybody is learning through their computer or through whatever way they have figured out if somebody doesn't have a computer. And then there's some schools who are doing what they call the hybrid version, which is a little bit of both. So it's still pretty chaotic. I'm hoping it's getting more under control, maybe an organized chaos a little bit. So Fran, did I leave anything out as far as explaining kind of what remote learning is and how we've gotten to this point?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. I really like your analogy. As you were talking about how we're doing now, and I was trying to think how that fit in with the swimming. I'm thinking, okay, so we're treading water and we're either using arms, legs, or an arm and a leg, but we haven't quite figured out how to use our entire body to tread water. So we're getting tired in some areas and having to learn how to tread water, perhaps.
Yeah, I think that's good to continue with
the
that.
most efficiently. Yeah.
Right. So your son is out of school, but your daughter is still in school. What, and you just got an update, like literally a second before this went live. So what was your school doing, and now what are they doing?
Okay. Well, initially we were supposed to start, everyone would be in school. We would be all live, in person, and then numbers changed in our area. So then to start the school year, they went by the alphabet just so everyone could get their technology and everything they needed so that they could go remote. But clumped into all of that, then you have people who happen to have IEPs. And so I honestly can't tell you if it was for our whole school district or how they decided, because I didn't ask. Because it was, it didn't matter to me, and I didn't want to add to the confusion or stress of them trying to take the time to explain it to me.
Right.
But so my daughter has been going to in-person learning, but they've chosen today, Friday. I had to think on that one. Fridays. You remember how you did it? Fridays with Fran. That's how I remember what day we were. But so on Fridays, everyone is remote. Doesn't matter what type of learning you're doing. That is. But so but our school district, I think they did a really amazing job of giving as many options as possible, because we had a survey, and some you could choose actually to do remote learning from the beginning, online learning. But once you choose that, you have to stay with it for at least the semester.
Oh, okay.
So at least that was the case. I don't want to say I remember all the details, because our school district communicated really well, but we got a lot of updates, and there were a lot of updates to try to keep up with. I don't know how they did it. Yeah. But they kept us updated.
That's awesome.
But the update we have now, though. But so Allison has been going in person. Now she's like right now she's out there sitting on the sofa doing her schoolwork. She had to check in, and there was some confusion, and she didn't quite get it, but she figured it out eventually.
Good for her.
And her teacher responded back to her, so we're good to go there. I'm really proud of her. I've asked her to be able to do this on her own, to give it her best shot. So, but the phone call, our numbers have changed, and according to whatever we line everything up, we can return to in person for everyone, not just those who happen to have IEPs.
All right. So I have seen in our area, because Fran and I live very close to each other as far as towns. We're not in the same town, so we're not like neighbors that close, but neighboring towns. And I've seen some of the schools in our county literally saying, we're just doing this week by week. So our county that we live in has had an increased number of COVID positive cases.
Sorry, my cat is joining us today.
That's okay.
Uh-huh.
And so, as Fran mentioned, we were in our entire county supposed to start in person. That was, the latest update up till like 2 or 3 days before school was supposed to start. And those 2 or 3 days prior to school and this new notice coming out were weekend days. So literally it was like Friday afternoon, or actually I think it was later than that, Friday evening, the health department said, our COVID positive numbers are too high. We are recommending to the schools not to start in person after all. And so suddenly all the students in our county, as well as all of the teachers who were so excited and so looking forward to going back to their classrooms, seeing their friends, seeing their colleagues, seeing their students, seeing the teachers, you just dropped a weighted balloon on them. And all the excitement was out. So then they were trying to scramble to figure out, well, what are we going to do? And there wasn't a set guideline, at least from my understanding, of this is what every school in the county should do. I think it was left up to the individual school districts. And so I have seen some schools, like the school that her daughter goes to, went ahead and continued, we're just going to start the day that we originally said we were going to start, and we'll just figure it out. Like she said, everybody went based on the letter of the alphabet where they fell, and they did all that kind of stuff. Other districts in our county said, we're not doing anything at all until August 31st. And then we had other districts who said, well, we're going to start, but it's going to be totally remote. There isn't going to be any in-person at all. And I felt like there was this heaviness that came over the county when that happened, because everything shifted. The anger from parents who had planned for their kids to be back in school and were like, oh, I can finally go back to work because now my kids will be provided for during the day as far as, adult supervision. Now I can't go back to work again. And so then you had people scrambling to try to find daycare situations. And then you had, because each district in the county kind of did it a little bit different, you had parents upset, and rightly so. I mean, I'm not saying that anybody is wrong or right. Honestly, I said rightly so, but it's so confusing. But you had parents then comparing their school district to another school district in the county and saying, well, how come it's working over there? How come they're doing it like that? And that was for both, whether they were in person. You had people that had students going in person who were upset. And then you had parents that had students that had the in-person option taken away, and they were upset. It's just awful. And the emotional stress, I think, that has gone along with all of this is incredible. And I'm not sure how long it will take for people to be able to recover from all of this emotional stress.
Right. So true. Bless you.
Our teachers, being a former education teacher, special education teacher, I am still in contact with dozens of teachers in our county, and they were just as devastated, if not more so, than the students, because they weren't going to get to see all their brand new students. Yeah.
That's how everyone is.
Exactly. Stressed out is absolutely right.
You had mug today for this.
But yeah. So, and that's just like the general population. And then as Fran mentioned, and as we started this, when you add in our special education population, that complicates things even further, because there are specific laws for special education students, not that cover this kind of situation, but that cover them in a different way than the general education law does. And so you've had lots and lots of parents that have a child with an IEP mad, upset, frustrated, because even the extra protections that they always have had weren't helping and kind of aren't helping right now. So what kinds of things, I know you and I have spoken outside of Fridays with Fran about the things that have been going on with your daughter. So when your school started and they were supposed to be going in person, do you mind telling our audience the story of what happened?
No, I don't, because actually it's still evolving right now, because they're having to, in essence, like in football, it's calling an audible. They're having what she does job training in the morning, and they had nowhere for her to go because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter's entire interest in life has always been animals, and that's what we've been trying to get her into. And so they had nowhere for her to go. Literally, they were just going. In the beginning, she was just going to be sewing, which was,
Yeah.
I mean, she said she liked to sew, and that's awesome. And she was going to sew masks. She was going to do something useful, but it wasn't animal related. And I didn't want her doing that all day long, or, every day. But I mean, yeah, sewing's a good thing. I wish I had learned it sooner, honestly. So I was okay with it per se, but that wasn't that wasn't her heart.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was okay with it, that didn't mean she was okay with it, or
Right,
it would
exactly.
benefit her. That she's in an extended education to help her learn life skills, and to hopefully, be able to be employed at some point in life without having someone with her. But personnel changed at school, so that threw things off. But I will have to say, though, I was able to get in touch with the coordinator, and as we were talking, all of a sudden, I'm sure it was God gave me this random idea. We've talked of the therapeutic writing place that both of us
Mm-hmm.
know of, and have worked with, been affiliated with. But anyway, so I thought, oh, those are animals. They have lots of animals. They have lots of work. She could learn. And I know, and my daughter grew up there. She helped start the program. She was one of the pilot kids.
Yeah.
She was so little when she started, I could fling her up on the horse. So I put a call in to I asked, as I was speaking with the special ed coordinator. And so she was like, well, do you have a contact? I'm like, well, yeah, I got contacts. So, and it had been God. He ordered it, and it worked out. And so she's going a couple times a week now out there in the mornings, but they don't have anything for her for a couple of days. So when we're finished today, I have to work on some form of email or communication to try to facilitate the rest of. I didn't realize I would be having to advocate so much for her, and I am humbled, because Allison's easy. If I were trying to do this for my son, if he were still in school, it would be very difficult to try to figure out, and I'm sure it would be difficult for them to figure out what to do with him. And then I look at some of the groups I'm involved with in Facebook, and I look at their stories, and I'm so blessed by what the school district's doing for my daughter.
Yeah.
Because how do you do the minutes, in the IEP?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. That has been a big question, because when this all, and by the way, hi mom, my mom has joined us.
Oh, hi.
When this all started, whatever IEP services and related services and minutes and all of that stuff, I don't want to say they got tossed out the window, but it was exactly like you talked about, like, how do we figure out now in a virtual environment how to give something kind of comparable to what they were getting in their IEP. And that's where a lot of, because of me being a master IEP coach and being involved in the organizations and groups, like you said, on Facebook that I am involved with, I'm involved in several different groups that are advocate groups. And they were up in arms. Well, my child is not getting, what it says in their IEP, and we're going to sue the school, and we're going to file due process. And everybody was so angry. And I understood that. But at the same time, I tried to help people understand that nobody, whether they had an IEP before or didn't, is getting what they were getting before. And everybody is trying to figure it out. And just like in every IEP, there is no one size fits all. We couldn't just say, okay, we'll give a percentage of, I'll show you what this comment is.
Thanks, Mom.
She's really good at that, noticing that kind of stuff.
Just got a cut today.
So, you couldn't just say, okay, well, give everybody 20% of what they were getting in their IEP, or give everybody, whatever. And it was just trying to go in and trying to figure out what's going to work and what's going to make, and I don't think anybody was happy, so I don't want to say make the most people happy, but make sense in the situation. And yet now that we were, a new school year, most of those IEPs are still in place because most school districts and individuals didn't have IEP meetings to change anything as far as the actual IEP and its service minutes and whatever. So now we're back to, okay, we're like, this week we're in, this week we're virtual, the next week we're hybrid. How does an IEP keep up with all of that? How do teachers keep up with that? How do parents keep up with that? So we all have to be, we all have to be flexible. Absolutely. Yep. And we also have to remember, and we've talked about this, grace, because honestly, and I obviously don't know every situation, in every school district, but I honestly feel that teachers in school districts and parents, well, let me take the parent out for a second, that teachers in school districts are trying to get this figured out, and they are trying to serve the most people possible with one method. They want to serve everybody, but no school district has everybody on the same level. Because that's the kind of country that we live in. That's what's wonderful about our country. So they're trying to go, okay, let's see. I think we can serve 60% of our population by this, and that's the majority. So that's what we're going to go with. But then we're still going to work with that other 40% and figure out how to help them also. But again, then the next week it changes. I mean, we're literally told by our health department in some of our school districts, we're going to reevaluate every Friday.
Well, I mean, what just happened? I just got a phone call. Literally, It just changed. I mean, so.
Yeah. So there is no easy answers. I do think, like you said, we have to be flexible.
And I think, flexible. I had grace in my mind, but I just said, we cannot be rigid to the doctor and the rules, because we can't, the school districts cannot meet IEPs the way they're written right now. They just cannot, because of because of the circumstances beyond their control. Right.
Yeah, so they're not written for this.
Yeah. No.
They're written for brick and mortar schooling.
I mean, I have a friend, and we were chatting the other day, and she was like, I have to contact each school to find out if they're in person, and if they're partial day, or if they're an alternating schedule, and I have to try to coordinate my students. And I thought, oh my goodness gracious,
Mhm.
and my heart went out to her and to the educators, just as much to the parents.
Right. And speaking of I think I know who you're talking about. So speaking of related service providers, yeah, I mean, a lot of them are in our area and around the country are independent. They don't, they're not hired by, or they're hired by, they're not employed by school districts. And so they may have 6, 8 different school districts or buildings that they are providing services for. And they could have as many as, I mean, I don't think I've ever had as many occupational or physical therapists have as many on their caseload as speech language pathologists, but I've known some speech language pathologists who have had 70 kids from different districts on their caseloads. So yeah, trying to figure out, okay, what's this school district doing this week? Okay, so I'm going to plan my minutes that I'm going to be able to see that student in person. And then all of a sudden they get the call, well, nope, we're going virtual. So now you can't see that student in person. And I'm going to tell you, from a teacher's perspective, when I have been doing the virtual tutoring this week, and I tell you, it's for one student for one 30-minute period and another student for another 30-minute period. So I'm only an hour virtual. It's exhausting because trying to come up with different ideas, since they don't have manipulatives. If we're doing a math lesson, they wouldn't necessarily have the same things that I would use in a classroom or that I even have available to me in my own home. And then trying to keep their interest, trying to discipline. So I don't even, that's not even the good word for it.
Redirect.
Yeah. When, parents are nearby also wanting to redirect because they know their kid isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing. And just trying to work out all of those dynamics is, like I said, it's exhausting. And I'm only doing it an hour a day. I can't imagine what therapists who are trying to get, all these different school buildings figured out, teachers who are teaching or being available virtually, 6 or 8 hours a day.
What about the teachers that are having to teach in person and remotely at the same time?
Right. Yeah. That's another.
Oh my goodness gracious. How do you even juggle that one?
Right. Yeah. I actually have a sort of experience, I think, with that, where I went to a Master IEP Coach Conference. I went in person this summer, but there were people attending virtually. And I can remember our main mentor, Catherine, speaking, and like she'd talk into the computer and then she'd talk to us personally, in person. And the virtual sessions would end and they would have some stuff that they were supposed to be doing. And then, she would start talking to us and she's like, this is so difficult to, to be motivated and energized enough to keep the people virtually attending interested and feeling like they were getting what those of us in person were getting.
And those were adults.
You are exactly right. Yeah. So how are we going to fix it, Fran? Because that's
how are we?
That's what we do.
Oh, you ready?
How do we fix it?
Okay. Because we are, what is it? Wreck-It Ralph. Felix Fix It or whatever his name was.
I don't know. I can't remember.
And right. The hammer. Or I don't know what he was. Anyway. Oh, Allie's telling me it was Felix.
Okay. I thought that sounded right.
You know what I think? I wanted to tell you how we're going to fix it. I'm ready.
Okay.
Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
All of a sudden it just came to me. Even if you were saying it, we're going to fix it the same way I remember when through sports. Teamwork.
Absolutely.
That's how it's going to be fixed. It's the only way it can be fixed. Everyone has to work as a team. Everyone from the administrators, and the coordinators, the educators, to the parents, to the student. We doesn't mean that you're always going to agree, you're always going to be happy with the situation, but in order for it to work, you have to have teamwork. And on top of that, you have to know your strengths and weaknesses and realize that you cannot carry the entire, sorry, you cannot.
He was very interested in what you were saying.
Yeah, she was. She's, remind me to come back to her. You cannot carry, you cannot carry the whole team on your back because you do not have all the strengths.
Right.
Not everybody has all, and everyone has strengths and weaknesses. And on a team, the best thing is to orchestrate it where your strengths balance someone else's weaknesses. So, in answer to your question, that is how we're going to fix it. We all have to learn to work in teamwork. Okay. That's a 10. So
that sounds amazing. It really does. And I mean, what you were saying was making a lot of sense. Like, when you have a team, if you have, I know basketball, so I'm going to go with basketball. If you have someone who is really good at guarding, you're not going to make them your center person and make them, you're doing your jump balls and all of that kind of stuff, because most likely they're not going to have the height that they need. So you're going to put them
the center.
Huh?
You wouldn't make me the center, would you?
No, probably not.
Oh, man. I'm kind of short in case anyone wonders.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, in the same way, if you have someone who is fabulous at making 3-pointers, you're not going to give them, and they're not so good at doing layups, you're not going to be constantly asking them to make layups. You're going to feed them the ball when you need a 3-point shot or when they're open. And, as teams, we also aren't always 100% pleased with our own strengths and our own weaknesses. We want to be able to do other things a lot of times. And I think in this situation, we are going to have to say, okay, someone else is better at this than I am. And even though I want to be that person, I'm not right now. So I have to help with what I'm strongest at. What?
Oh, go on. I just came up with the word that you're speaking.
Okay. And then, we have to give our strength to the team and let everybody else's strengths come out and have that balance that you talked about, so that whatever area I'm weaker in and someone else is stronger in, we're going to help each other and balance each other out. So what were you thinking? What's the word that we're looking for here?
Humility and pride.
Ooh, man, we're getting deep words here today.
Well, I mean, because so often I know I struggle with it. I have a pride in what I can do, and it's become even more of a thing because I want to prove to people that I'm just as good as I was prior to becoming differently abled. And you know what? There are some things I really can't do, and I have to let go of that. I have to be humble and say, I really should not be climbing that ladder right now. I should ask for help. Yeah. But my pride is
that and direct it directly to my mom, because she always likes to do things that my brother and I are telling her she shouldn't be doing.
Somehow I'm going to plead I'm going to stay out of that family argument. I'm just going to say, use wisdom, Mom, use wisdom. That's what I'm learning, wisdom.
Just kidding, Mom, I love you.
But see, but really it is a matter of the just
asking for help.
Just asking and realizing asking for help does not mean you're weak. It does not mean you're incapable. It just means that someone else can do it better.
Right.
And so in society, we have made it seem like such a horrible thing for someone to ask for help, especially we've stigmatized it with mental health. And if someone asks for help, we think, oh my gosh, think of why can't they carry their load? Why, I've got it so much worse, just suck it up, buttercup. No, you, we want people to ask for help.
Sorry, I'm looking at Mom's response.
Yep. You're right. We do have things we have to do. Hence
Yep.
the ladder. But there are days if I don't have to climb that ladder and it can wait till Allison comes home or till someone else is around, then I should probably wait. But yeah, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And yeah, so along with pride and humility and grace and flexibility, we also need patience.
Ooh. Shoot me in the heart. I don't have that. That is a weakness. I will admit, the strength and weakness thing. Yeah, that I don't have it.
Yeah. Well, and the patience is, as you and my mom are alluding to, is sometimes even though we want it right now, we can wait and we can ask for somebody else to help. And we might have to wait for that other person's availability, which might be longer than what we want to wait.
I'm laughing. I'm sorry.
I'm laughing because look at.
I'm laughing because I feel like I'm having this conversation with myself right now. Wait, it's just like, goodness gracious, can we just not? I feel like we're having like this online counseling session while we're solving the world, conquering school districts, and solving the world problems.
Well,
Alex.
Word patience.
You're so right, Alex.
Yeah. And there, out of all the words that we mentioned, I think, that is probably the one that people struggle with the most, is patience, because, especially in our world today, because we are so used to getting. Okay, Mom, this person is specifically speaking to Fran. So it's not just you that's being called out today.
Oh my goodness gracious. I just want to tell everybody that's watching and potentially will be watching another time. This is unfiltered. This is unplanned.
Absolutely.
This is how life happens in my life, at least. I don't know if it happens like when you show. And we got to make the most out of it, and just someone said, take lemons and make lemonade.
Yep.
It went further with something else, but I was like, well, I'll just do the lemonade.
Yeah.
But so you got to laugh. That's what I found through this whole thing, through my changes in ability, through Allison's schooling stuff, through my inability of being able to visit my son, to hug my son. It's been 160 some gazillion days, whatever that means. It just means it's too long to me. But,
right.
I have to laugh. I have to find something to make me smile, something to give me joy. I'm trying to find this picture. I don't know if I'm going to be able to share it. But can I share that? I know I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent. Can I share this tangent?
Yeah.
Okay. I went on a random.
This is unscripted. This is literally Fran and I having a conversation like anybody else would have a conversation with a friend. It's just that ours is happening on live. And we're sharing it with all of you.
So we thank you for joining us as we tackle life's problems. What is it? One IEP, one problem at a time.
Yep. We're making the world better for all, one IEP at a time.
And I really hope we are, because I come away from these feeling better. I feel I have some solution. So one of your taglines and what you do on another day, hashtag no limits. I can't get the picture up, but I'm going to read. So I had a friend randomly, and so anyway.
Are you talking about the one that you posted on my Facebook page? Okay, you talk. I'll see if I can find it.
So I was able to share. I was able to go see this covered bridge. It was really, really cool. And but I wasn't content to just look at the covered bridge or take pictures of the covered bridge from ground level. No, I climbed on the covered bridge, but this is what I wrote. I changed my profile picture on Facebook, and I said, "Living life, making memories, enjoying expeditions, refusing regret, finding focus, having hope, choosing Christ." And in all of that, aside from alliterations, it didn't start off with that. Just how they just kept rolling out in the middle of the night as they happened. But I realized how important it was to refresh and refuel myself, because I cannot help anyone on an empty battery. And my battery was empty. I did not realize how empty it was.
It's coming up. Just to give you a heads up.
Oh.
And what you posted over here.
Yeah, I can't see that, so you can read it.
Okay. She says, I'm going to actually go to so I can see it. It says, Shelley, you have inspired me with your hashtag no limits. Living life, making memories, enjoying expeditions, refusing regret, finding focus, having hope, choosing Christ. Had an unexpected opportunity to get out of the house for a bit. I encourage each of you to care for yourselves too. Can't help on an empty battery. So needed to recharge and refresh as I prepare to tackle advocating my daughter's education and IEP and fight for the right to visit my son at his group home. And you were at Mary's River Covered Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really
I've never been there. That was really cool.
You would bring this up because this picture where the way that you have designed this picture, it looks like you're looking at yourself in essence, because you're looking around the bridge, but then the other picture, it's the opposite facing of that picture. So then you're, I presume at least.
No, it's another picture.
Oh, it is.
It's a totally, it's another side of the bridge. It was another time. I climbed multiple times.
Okay.
But yeah.
But the fact that also that your walker is down at the bottom of the picture. I mean, to me, there's so much symbolism and greatness in this photo.
At first, I hid my walker in some of the pictures, but I'm like, that is part of who I am. I mean, it could have been my wheelchair, but it doesn't define me. It's just part of me.
Yep.
Because I actually planned on. Do you see that ledge that I'm looking at in the direction? I had really wanted to go stand on that ledge.
Oh, gotcha.
But it's not wide enough for me and my walker to get. I couldn't figure it out. So, Mom, that's kind of where I used the wisdom part and thought, because there's a really big drop off into a creek. No, not a creek.
Oh, yeah, creek.
A creek. Creek.
Yeah, creek.
Water. Yeah. That thing.
A creek is how we, with our dialect, say it around here. But yeah, creek, whatever.
Yeah. So there was a really big drop off. It wouldn't be pretty if I happened to lose my balance. So there's a bar to which I'm holding that's behind that piece of wood. So I was very safe. My leg was locked, and but it was. So I used wisdom there. But I thought, no limits. What does that mean? What does that mean for our school year? Because I was kind of struggling with this our topic today, because it was not pretty. Our remote learning, my daughter's and my experience in the spring. Ultimately, for her mental well-being, my mental well-being, our well-being as a family in the house, we just said it's not happening, because we were all miserable. We still had to exist as a mother and a daughter, and we had to exist in a house and cooperate and love each other, and we weren't loving each other very well. So when you said remote learning, I mean, you can look back at my face when you said it. I was like, really, Shelley?
We have to.
So that was one of the things I was like, okay, I'm on this bridge. What are we talking about? Oh, remote learning.
And then you were like, should I go out on that ledge and maybe so I don't have to talk about it?
But I think, I want to come back to where we were. Okay, so we started talking about swimming, treading water, and having learned, and then teamwork. So my question is, how can we advocate for our loved ones?
Hi, Crystal.
And still do it in such a way that we respect other people and we have teamwork. So we have to be able to put our feelings aside and realize if a parent is advocating and we realize, well, maybe I'm not doing it. But at the same point, a parent has to realize if an educator is doing all they can with what they have, then they have to go, okay, well, that's all I can get at this moment. I think that's a fair thing to ask of both sides, all players in the team, if we're going to go with that. What do you think?
I think that's awesome. But that makes me think of a conversation that you had with me last week regarding the remote learning of your daughter. Do you recall that conversation?
No. Okay. Do you want to refresh me?
Well, the reason I brought it up is because I feel like after we talked, in talking with you now, your opinion has changed from that conversation to today.
Okay.
Does that jar your memory at all? Because I don't want to share the conversation with everybody.
Okay. So I'm remembering. Yeah. Yes, I have had to reevaluate some of my desires for my daughters, some of my beliefs of what should be happening. I have had to reassess where I'm coming from for her education and realize it's not about me. And a lot of times as parents, even though we think we're advocating for children, it becomes about us. We want the best for our kids, but sometimes we're hurting our children because we're putting our pride in the way.
That's very insightful. And I would add to that, in my experiences with the groups that I'm involved in and with some of the people that I have helped over the past few years, I think, maybe down deep there is a little bit of pride, but I think a lot of the anger that I am seeing coming out now is based out of the fear that if we let things go now, that they're just going to keep, going downhill for the services and the education of our children with special needs. And that's unfortunately, I think, in most cases, at least, if not all cases, because parents of kids with special needs have had to fight in so many cases to get what in their minds, what their child deserves and what their child should have. And yet, for whatever reasons, that didn't happen. And I think I know that for so many of the parents that I've spoken to, that is what they're concerned about, is that we're going to go back to pre-special education IDEA law. If people aren't standing up right now and demanding, and aggressively so, everything that their child had in their IEP back in March. And I think
Alex had that word the other time we were talking that's coming to my head now, balance.
Yep. Yeah. And there are things that, yes, we definitely should continue to focus on, in remote learning that were already in the IEPs before this happened. But there are things that we can focus on because of being in remote learning that maybe didn't get the attention that because we were in a brick and mortar building before. And I have to give credit to, again, my mentor, Catherine Witcher, because she mentioned this in one of our talks the other day that, morning routines, getting our kids ready for school. We now have the time to give those skills, abilities, to give them the opportunity to grow and develop, because we're not having to race out the door. So now would be a good time to work on, getting clothes ready for the next day, or getting them out of the, whatever, brushing teeth, taking a shower, getting materials ready for the day.
Hey, Alex, Shelley said, brush your teeth.
Funny story with that. When we went to our daughter's college orientation, I don't even know if it was orientation, but when we were learning about the college, they said, really, the one thing that we want you to get your child to do before they come to college is to brush their teeth every day. Because we'll take care of everything else, but we can't make them brush their teeth every day. So just get that really instilled in them before they come to us.
Oh my.
Oh, well, okay. We're done then, because we got that instilled in her.
So you're good.
Yeah, we didn't have to do anything else for her. But yeah, so kind of rearranging or refocusing the goals, not eliminating completely, but, okay, so reading, a lot of times, there's things around the house that kids can read, but we don't necessarily give them the opportunity to do so. Read a cookbook, following directions, make a recipe, have them write out directions to making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and let them see how incredibly difficult that really is, because if you've never tried that experiment with your kids, do that with them. Have them write out the directions for like peanut butter and jelly, and then you have them watch you follow the directions that they've written. And it is amazing how they're like, well, that's not what I meant, but that's not what you wrote down in your direction. So having the right wording, having the right direction, having the right, and by direction, I mean, which way does the knife go, or which, do you lay the knife flat when you're spreading the peanut butter, or do you just put the knife, how, are you into where, you're almost cutting the bread instead of spreading something on it.
Right.
So for anybody who's watching who has children still in the house and you want to have kind of a funny experiment, that's a pretty good one to do. So go back to the cat. You had told me to thank you, to let you talk about the cat. I did kind of peek at it, but.
Yeah, this is because you said my cat was listening really intently at that point, and she was. People talk about emotional support animals. She's an untrained, but she knows she can find me the minute my eyeballs start leaking. She's on, and she's hugging me, and she's licking my tears, and she knows.
Yeah.
So she knew it was an emotional topic, so she was paying attention to see if she needed. Yeah. I just think it's amazing how animals can be so therapeutic, untrained animals.
Right, exactly.
Let alone trained ones. So,
yep,
but anyway,
exactly.
So that was, I just wanted to touch on about, and her name is Emmy.
Emmy.
Oh,
that's cool.
She's a rescue.
Aw. I hope Violet's not watching, because she wants a cat so bad, and seeing you with yours and saying how great it is. She's been saying that. She's like, Mom, I need a cat. It'll help me. And I'm like,
Violet, I have a kitten for you.
Oh, thanks. Kevin's going to love you. Just so you know. So Fran privately reminded me to check the time because we do have to end under 60 minutes, or otherwise I have to go in and do all kinds of weird things before I can upload it to IGTV. And we are at about 55 minutes. So I want to put this up. Hopefully it'll pop up. There we go. Okay, so these are the words that we have come up with today of how we need to deal with remote learning. And it's possible that I missed one. So we've said flexibility, humility, pride, which be careful of being prideful, patience, teamwork, grace, and respect. And this can be applied no matter who you are involved with remote learning right now, whether you're on the educator side, whether you're on the parent side, whether you're on the student, whether you are the student, all of these words, and balance. Thank you, Alex. I knew I was forgetting something.
That word, it keeps coming back.
And, just applying and remembering those things. Nobody has done this before. Nobody has the right answer. And because we are such a diverse population of people, there isn't a one-size-fits-all answer as far as specifics to do. But I think that these are good words that could be used probably in all situations. Just remembering that the other person is going through the same strange time that you are. So, thank you all. This has probably been the funnest conversation that Fran and I have had. And so thank you for joining us. Yeah. Yeah. We kind of went off on some tangents today, but I think they all did connect. I think we were able to bring them back and help and get that connection going. So again, I am Shelley Kino, the host of Fridays with Fran. I own Shelley Kino IEP Consulting. Fran and I have been friends for a long time. We both have backgrounds in special education, and I just wanted to come on because I feel like she's got a lot of wisdom. And I just, being a former special education teacher, I hope I have some wisdom to share with things. And we just wanted to share that with the rest of you. So if you've liked this video, give it a thumbs up or click on the like link. And if you're not a subscriber and you don't want to miss these conversations, because, come on.
Subscribe below.
This was a great conversation. So yes, absolutely. Hit that subscribe button or do my husband is making weird signs behind me. He's trying to make me distracted and laugh, which it did. So if you're following on Facebook, make sure you like my Facebook page or the Instagram page, and get those notifications of when we go live so that you don't miss a Friday with Fran or a hashtag no limits is what she referred to earlier. That happens on Tuesdays at 1:00 Central Time. My guest this week that I was supposed to have had been affected by Hurricane Laura, and so she had to cancel at the last minute. We are rescheduling for September 15th, I think, with her. But next week, I will have Teresa DeMarco and her son will be joining me. So you want to tune in for that. And that's all I have. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we will continue to make the world better for all, one IEP at a time. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Emmy says bye.
Bye, Emmy. Bye, Alex.